Breen warships exploded into oblivion as Adam Hicks unleashed a salvo of missiles into the heart of their formation, the flaming shards of once mighty alien vessels illuminating the void as the UES Defiance cut a swath of destruction through the technologically superior Breen Armada. It was a mission that should never have succeeded. The Defiance, an advanced human stealth frigate under the command of Captain Hicks, had been on a routine recon patrol near the border of Breen space when they intercepted a distress call from a human merchant vessel. The civilian ship was under attack by a Breen warship contingent, and though outgunned and outnumbered, Hicks refused to stand by as his fellow humans were slaughtered. In a daring rescue operation, the Defiance swept in, catching the Breen forces off guard. Hicks and his crew fought with a ferocity and skill that belied their small numbers, destroying several enemy fighters and driving the rest into retreat. The merchant vessel was saved, its crew eternally grateful, but the repercussions were only beginning. The Breen Empire was the undisputed superpower of the galaxy, vast and advanced beyond imagining. Humanity's relatively young interstellar civilization seemed like an insignificant mote in comparison, a mote that had now earned the ire of Theros, a notoriously ruthless Breen commander. Theros saw the upstart humans and their audacious captain as a threat to be immediately and brutally extinguished. An immense Breen fleet, bristling with the most cutting-edge weaponry the Empire had to offer, was dispatched to the human frontier with a singular purpose: annihilate the Defiance and smother humanity's resistance in the cradle. Intercepted transmissions soon reached the Defiance's bridge, drawing the color from the faces of Hicks's crew. The Breen Armada was en route to the human colonies of the sector, ready to glass entire worlds to punish Hicks's insolence. Hicks now faced a terrible choice. They could not outrun the Breen warfleet. To flee would only delay the inevitable and condemn millions of civilians to a horrific fate. No, there was only one option. One desperate, impossible hope. Hicks would turn the Defiance to face the oncoming enemy head-on. One ship against hundreds. They would never survive, but perhaps, if fortune smiled, they could cripple the Breen spearhead, blunting the attack long enough for the colonies to be evacuated. As the Breen entered human space, Hicks stared at the tactical display, knuckles white on the command chair. This was it. One roll of the dice. The souls of millions rested on his shoulders. The Defiance was the only thing standing between the Breen and unmitigated slaughter. Hicks gritted his teeth, his eyes hard as he gave the order to charge. Adam Hicks stared at the tactical display, his heart pounding in his chest as he watched the Breen Armada enter human-controlled space. The enemy ships moved with cold precision, their formation tight and disciplined. But Adam had a plan, and he was determined to make the Breen pay for their arrogance. "Lieutenant Reeves, are you ready?" Adam asked, turning to his tactical officer. Reeves nodded, her fingers dancing across her console. "Yes, sir. The stealth systems are engaged, and the plasma torpedoes are armed and ready." Adam took a deep breath, then gave the order, "Take us in." The UES Defiance slipped through the void like a wraith, its advanced stealth technology rendering it all but invisible to the Breen sensors. Adam guided the ship with a steady hand, weaving through the enemy formation until they were in the heart of the Armada. "We're in position, sir," Reeves reported, her voice tight with tension. Adam's eyes narrowed. "Initiate Phase 2. The Defiance shimmered into visibility, its sleek hull gleaming in the starlight. Before the Breen could react, a volley of plasma torpedoes erupted from the frigate's launch tubes, streaking towards the enemy command ship. The torpedoes struck home, and the command ship staggered under the impact. Explosions blossomed along its hull, and debris spun away into space. The Breen fleet fell into disarray, their formation fracturing as they struggled to respond to the unexpected attack. Adam seized the moment. "Execute attack patterns Alpha through Delta." The Defiance's computer systems sprang to life, and the ship began to move with a fluid grace that belied its size. It danced through the enemy fleet, its weapons firing with surgical precision. Breen ships shuddered and sparked as their systems were targeted and destroyed, leaving them drifting helplessly in space. On the bridge of the crippled command ship, Theros snarled in fury. He had underestimated this human captain, and now his fleet was paying the price. But Theros was not one to accept defeat easily. "All ships focus fire on that human vessel," he bellowed. "I want it destroyed." The Breen ships rallied, their weapons locking onto the Defiance. A storm of energy bolts and missiles streaked towards the human frigate, and Adam gritted his teeth as the ship shuddered under the onslaught. "Shields holding at 60%, Reeves reported, her voice strained. Adam knew they couldn't take much more of this. He scanned the tactical display looking for an opening. There, off to the starboard side, a cluster of Breen destroyers, their formation tight and unyielding. "Helm, set course for those destroyers," Adam ordered. "Let's see if we can't shake things up a bit." The Defiance veered away, its engines flaring as it raced towards the destroyers. The Breen ships gave chase, their weapons firing in a relentless barrage. Adam guided the Defiance into the debris field left by the initial attack, his hands flying over the controls as he navigated the treacherous terrain. The Breen destroyers followed, but their bulky frames made them far less maneuverable than the nimble human frigate. One by one, the Breen ships fell victim to the hazards of the debris field. They collided with the wreckage of their own vessels, their hulls crumpling under the impact. Explosions lit up the void, and the destroyers tumbled away, trailing flames and debris. Adam saw his chance. He brought the Defiance around in a tight arc, lining up a shot on Theros' command ship. The frigate's weapons charged, the air on the bridge crackling with energy. "Fire!" Adam ordered. A concentrated barrage of weapons fire erupted from the Defiance, slamming into the command ship's weakened shields. The shields flickered and died, and the barrage tore into the ship's hull, sending gouts of flame and debris spinning into space. On the bridge, Theros staggered as explosions rocked the ship. Consoles sparked and shattered, and the air was filled with the acrid stench of smoke. Theros clutched at his wounded side, his face twisted in pain and rage. "Retreat," he growled, the word bitter on his tongue. "All ships retreat." The Breen fleet limped away from the battlefield, their once proud ships battered and broken. The Defiance stood victorious, a lone human frigate against the mightiest armada in the galaxy. News of Adam's triumph spread like wildfire, and across human space, people celebrated in the streets. The story of the Defiance's victory became a rallying cry, a symbol of hope and defiance in the face of overwhelming odds. But as the Defiance set course for the nearest starbase, Adam knew that this was only the beginning. The Breen would not forget this defeat, and retribution would surely follow. But for now, he allowed himself a moment of satisfaction, knowing that he and his crew had struck a blow for human freedom that would echo across the stars. The UES Defiance limped into Starbase Theta 9, its hull scarred and systems strained from the intense battle against the Breen Armada. As the docking clamps engaged, Captain Adam Hicks felt a wave of relief wash over him. They'd made it. "Docking complete, sir," Lieutenant Reeves reported, her voice tinged with exhaustion. Adam nodded, rising from his chair. "Good work, everyone. Let's get this ship patched up and resupplied." The crew disembarked, greeted by cheering crowds of station personnel. News of their victory had spread fast, and for a brief moment, Adam allowed himself to bask in the triumph. But the celebration was short-lived. As Adam strode into the station's command center, he was met by grim-faced officers huddled around holo displays. Admiral Chen, her face etched with worry, waved him over. "Captain Hicks, we have a situation," she said, gesturing to the tactical readouts. "The Breen aren't taking their defeat lying down." Adam's blood ran cold as he absorbed the intel. Massive Breen fleets were converging on human space, dwarfing the force they'd just defeated. Reports streamed in of brutal attacks on outlying colonies. "New Austin is gone," a comms officer announced, his voice cracking. "Orbital defenses lasted less than an hour." Adam watched in horror as footage showed Breen warships raining hellfire on human cities. Millions of lives snuffed out in an instant. "Who's leading this?" Adam asked, his fists clenched. Admiral Chen pulled up a dossier. Grand Admiral Volkath. He's Theros' superior and twice as ruthless. Reports flooded in of human colonial fleets engaging the Breen invasion force. But these were no contests. Outdated human ships were swatted aside like insects by the Breen's superior technology. "We need to do something," Adam said, his mind racing. "The core worlds are next." Admiral Chen nodded grimly. "That's why we're sending you back out there, Hicks. Your ship's being prepped as we speak. We need you to lead a counterstrike." Adam's eyes widened. "With all due respect, Admiral, that's suicide. We barely survived the last encounter." "I know it's a long shot," Chen replied, "but you're the only one who's beaten them. We need that miracle again." Adam stared at the tactical display, watching the inexorable advance of the Breen forces. He thought of all the lives at stake, the worlds already lost. "All right," he said finally. "I'll do it, but I'll need every ship we can spare." Over the next few hours, Adam coordinated with what remained of the colonial fleets. He devised a plan of hit-and-run attacks, targeting Breen supply lines and staging areas. The hastily repaired Defiance led the charge. Adam's fleet struck like lightning, materializing from hyperspace to unleash devastating attacks before vanishing again. They destroyed fuel depots, munitions caches, and repair facilities. But the victories came at a cost. With each engagement, human ships fell to the superior Breen forces. Adam watched friends and comrades die, their sacrifice buying precious time for the core worlds to bolster their defenses. After weeks of grueling combat, Adam received word that Grand Admiral Volkath had dispatched an elite hunter-killer group to take out the Defiance once and for all. "This could be our chance," Adam told his weary crew. "We're going to set a trap." He broadcasted false intel, baiting the Breen force into the Epsilon Tauri system. As the massive Breen fleet arrived, they found only a handful of outdated human frigates defending the colony. But it was a ruse. Hidden among the system's dense asteroid field, Adam's remaining ships lay in wait. As the Breen moved to engage the decoy force, Adam sprung his trap. The Defiance burst from its hiding spot, leading the charge. Human ships weaved through the asteroid field, using the hazardous terrain to their advantage. They struck hard and fast, disabling Breen vessels with surgical precision before melting back into the rocky cover. Adam's voice crackled over the comms. "All ships, execute attack pattern Sierra 9. Let's show these bastards what humans can do." The battle raged for hours, a deadly dance amid the tumbling asteroids. One by one, the mighty Breen warships fell to Adam's tactics and the skill of his pilots. Finally, only Volkath's massive flagship remained. Adam brought the Defiance in close, ducking and weaving through the asteroid field as the Breen vessel unleashed a furious barrage. "Shields at 30%, Reeves shouted as the ship shuddered under the assault. Adam gritted his teeth, his hands flying over the controls. He executed a series of intricate maneuvers, the same ones that had brought down Theros. The Defiance's weapons blazed, striking at weak points in the Breen flagship's armor. Explosions blossomed along its hull as systems failed and compartments decompressed. With a final desperate salvo, Adam targeted the flagship's main reactor. The Defiance's torpedoes struck home, and Volkath's ship listed to the side, crippled and venting atmosphere. "We did it," Adam breathed, watching as the Breen vessel limped away in retreat. As news of this second, impossible victory spread, the tide of the war began to turn. Human forces, emboldened by Adam's success, launched counterattacks across multiple sectors. For the first time since the invasion began, the Breen advance faltered. Adam slumped in his chair, exhausted but victorious. He knew the war was not nearly finished, but they'd bought humanity a fighting chance, and sometimes that was all you needed. Adam stared out the viewport of the Defiance, watching the stars streak by as they cruised at warp speed. The thrill of their latest victory still coursed through his veins, but a gnawing unease tempered his elation. He knew the Breen wouldn't take this defeat lying down. "Captain, incoming transmission from Admiral Chen," Lieutenant Reeves called out. Adam nodded, straightening his uniform. "Put her through." The Admiral's hologram flickered to life on the bridge. "Outstanding work, Captain Hicks. Your victories have given us a fighting chance." Thank you, Admiral, but I fear we've only angered the hornet's nest. Chen's expression turned grim. Our intel supports that assessment. We've detected increased Breen activity along the border. They're regrouping, and fast. Adam leaned forward. What about Theros? Recalled to Breen High Command. He's been replaced by Grand Admiral Karras, a cunning strategist with a reputation for unconventional tactics. Adam's brow furrowed. This complicated matters. Any specifics on their new strategy? Chen tapped a few commands, sending data to the Defiance's systems. Karras is reshuffling their forces. We're seeing an influx of elite infiltrator units, spec ops teams trained in asymmetric warfare. Adam studied the incoming data, his mind racing. They're adapting to our guerrilla tactics. Precisely, but that's not all. Chen's hologram expanded, revealing a star chart. We've detected a network of advanced stealth probes enveloping key human systems. We believe Karras is using them to track and ambush our forces. Adam's eyes narrowed as he absorbed this new threat. He paced the bridge, mind whirling through potential countermeasures. Suddenly he stopped, a dangerous glint in his eye. Admiral, I have an idea. It's risky, but if it works... Chen leaned in, intrigued. I'm listening. Adam outlined his audacious plan. They would turn the Breen's own strategy against them, using a Trojan horse to penetrate their defenses and disable the stealth grid. It's a long shot, Chen mused, but at this point, long shots are all we've got. Make it happen, Captain. As the transmission ended, Adam turned to his crew. Reeves, get me Lieutenant Evox. We've got a special mission for him. Hours later, Adam stood in the hangar bay, watching as technicians swarmed over a small human freighter. They were converting it into a mobile bomb, arming it with high-yield explosives and a prototype EMP device. Evox approached, his face set with grit. Ship's almost ready, sir. My team's good to go. Adam clasped his friend's shoulder. This mission is critical, Evox. If you pull this off, you might just win us the war. Evox nodded, a grim smile on his face. We won't let you down. As the freighter lifted off, Adam returned to the bridge. He watched the ship disappear into the void, carrying with it the hopes of humanity. Days passed in tense silence as they waited for word from Evox's team. Finally, a coded transmission came through. They're in, Reeves reported. The Breen took the bait. Adam nodded, his heart racing. All ships, prepare for combat. The moment that EMP goes off, we hit them with everything we've got. The bridge crew worked with focused intensity, readying weapons and coordinating with the rest of the fleet. Adam's hands tightened on the arms of his chair as the seconds ticked by. Suddenly, a blinding flash lit up the view screen. The EMP had detonated. Stealth grid is down, Reeves shouted. We've got a lock on Karras's fleet. Adam leaned forward, his voice steady and commanding. All ships, engage! Fire at will! The Defiance surged forward, leading the charge. Its weapons blazed to life, spitting death at the exposed Breen vessels. Adam's fingers danced over the tactical controls, coordinating their assault with deadly precision. Breen ships exploded in silent bursts of fire and debris. Caught off guard, their shields failed to activate in time. Adam watched with grim satisfaction as capital ship after capital ship succumbed to the relentless human assault. Sir, Karras is scrambling his remaining forces, Reeves called out. Adam's eyes locked onto the Breen flagship. Not fast enough. Helm, set course for that command ship. We're going to end this. The Defiance weaved through the chaos of battle, dodging return fire as it closed in on its target. Adam's hands flew over the controls, executing a series of intricate maneuvers. We're in range, the weapons officer shouted. Adam's voice was cold steel. Fire everything we've got. The Defiance unleashed a devastating barrage, its weapons trained on the flagship's weakened defenses. Torpedoes and plasma bolts slammed into the massive ship, tearing through its armor. Explosions rippled across the Breen vessel's hull. It listed to one side, atmosphere venting from multiple breaches. Direct hit on their main reactor, Reeves reported, excitement in her voice. Adam allowed himself a small smile. Helm, get us out of here. Our work is done. As the Defiance retreated, Adam watched the Breen fleet crumble. Ships fled in disarray, their formation shattered. The once mighty invasion force had been humbled by human ingenuity and courage. But even as reports of their victory flooded in, Adam couldn't shake a feeling of unease. He'd seen no sign that Kyrus had been killed in the attack, and if there was one thing he'd learned about the Breen, it was to never underestimate them. Reeves, keep scanning for any sign of Kyrus, he ordered. I've got a feeling this isn't over. The lieutenant nodded, her fingers flying over her console. Adam turned back to the view screen, watching the stars streak by. They'd won the battle, but he knew the war was just the beginning. Somewhere out there, the Breen were regrouping, planning their revenge, and Adam would be ready when they came. Adam's eyes stung as he stared out the viewport of the Defiance. The remnants of the Breen shipyard drifted by, twisted metal and frozen corpses suspended in the void. His hands clenched the console, squeezing hard with tension. Status report, he barked, his voice hoarse. Lieutenant Reeves's fingers flew across her console. Quantum shockwave dissipating, sir. No sign of Breen vessels within sensor range. Adam nodded, the weight of their actions settling onto his shoulders. He turned to face his battered crew, their faces a mix of exhaustion and disbelief. We did it, he said softly, but at what cost? The silence on the bridge was deafening. Adam's mind raced with images of Evox's final moments, his friend's blood staining his hands. A junior officer broke the stillness. Captain, incoming transmission from Admiral Chen. Adam straightened his uniform. Put her through. Chen's hologram flickered to life, her face etched with concern. Report, Captain Hicks. Adam recounted the mission in clipped tones, the infiltration, the sabotage, the quantum weapons destruction. He faltered when he reached Evox's sacrifice. Chen's expression softened. I'm sorry, Adam. Lieutenant Evox was a fine officer. Adam swallowed hard. He saved us all, Admiral. But the price... He gestured to the viewport, to the devastation beyond. Chen nodded gravely. The reports are coming in. Entire Breen-occupied systems, gone. The quantum shockwave was more potent than we anticipated. The weight of billions of lives lost pressed down on Adam. He leaned heavily against the tactical display, his mind blown. What now? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Chen's hologram expanded, revealing a star chart. The Breen Empire is in chaos. Their command structure has crumbled, but we can't let our guard down. There will be remnants, holdouts. Adam studied the chart, noting the shifting borders and newly liberated systems. We need to secure these worlds, offer aid where we can. Agreed, Chen said. I'm dispatching relief fleets to the outer colonies, but I need you and the Defiance to lead a task force to the core of former Breen space. We need to ensure the threat is truly neutralized. Adam nodded, straightening his back. He looked around at his crew, seeing the same mix of weariness and perseverance in their eyes. We'll get it done, Admiral, he said. For Evox, for all those we've lost. As Chen's hologram winked out, Adam turned back to the viewport. The stars seemed colder now, the vastness of space more daunting than ever. Helm, he called out, his voice steady. Set a course for the Breen home system. Maximum warp. The Defiance's engines hummed to life, propelling them towards an uncertain future. As they accelerated to warp speed, Adam allowed himself a moment of quiet reflection. They had won, but the cost had been astronomical. The galaxy would never be the same, and neither would he. Adam closed his eyes, seeing Evox's face one last time. He made a silent vow to honor his friend's sacrifice, to ensure that the peace they had fought so hard for would endure. The Defiance streaked across the stars, carrying with it the hopes of humanity and the weight of countless lost souls.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.